First of all, my good people, I thank you again for your patience concerning the long confessions. God will reward you for your patience and your charity. There are several important notes. I'll probably forget most of them, but please take a bulletin home and study it carefully, especially the back of the first page. It's got the coming Easter schedule in it. First of all, this year is going to be slightly different, as I've already mentioned to most of you, because of the ordinations taking place in Connecticut in a couple of weeks. About 2 weeks actually, they'll be leaving. On Easter Sunday, they'll be leaving to go to Connecticut. So Easter Sunday, it will be myself and Frater John. I will be the only priest in both Birmingham and here. We are having Mass early in Birmingham at 9 o'clock, but I will still be late getting here, most likely. We always are when there's one priest. And I beg your patience. We said that Mass here would be 11:45, but it's very doubtful. When I get here, I will immediately start hearing confessions. All I ask is that you keep them as short as possible, and if it's a matter of plain advice, then wait until after Mass, and you can ask me after Mass and give the others a chance to go home if they need to. But anybody that wants confession is welcome. Just please keep it short, and I probably will not do a whole lot of counseling. I'll just give you a penance and absolution and maybe a word of encouragement. And again, I ask your patience. Now, concerning the ordinations, I think most of you understand, because of Bishop McKenna's health is why they have to drive up to Connecticut. However, the new priests, Frater Joseph and Frater Bernard, will be saying the first Mass in Cullman at the Abbey Church, and any of you are welcome to attend. They will be on April the 26th, both Masses at the same time, one in Our Lady Chapel and one in St. Joseph Chapel. On April the 26th, which is a Wednesday. It's awkward, I know, it's the middle of the week, but it will be at 8:30 in the morning. And those of you who can make it, I encourage you, because there are all kinds of graces, special graces, that are attendant upon attending and assisting at a new priest's first Mass. Also, after the first Mass, both priests will give their first blessing. And there are a lot of graces for anyone who receives a priest's first blessing and kisses his newly consecrated hands. Don't ask me what the graces are. There are all kinds of indulgences and graces involved. It's all I know. Take it at that. Because of the smallness of our community, we will not again be able to have the regular Holy Week ceremonies like we would so much like to have. All we will be able to have is our regular homemade, so to speak, ceremony on Good Friday, which is from 12 to 3, and those who can attend are encouraged to do so. If not, I strongly suggest that you use your home altars and make a sort of 3-hour holy hour if you can. If you can't spend 3 hours, then what you can spend, not on your knees, you can sit or stand or walk around, but in meditation on what took place at that moment in time. And as I said last time I was here, let us work to make the Passion, especially on Good Friday, to make the Passion real to us. Let us actually feel what our Lord felt and hear what he heard and see how much he loved us and how much we owe him. And I encourage you to read the bulletin, because I'm sure I've left something out. I usually do. And I'm going to keep my sermons short. Of course, they usually are short. But there's something I want to bring up. Excuse me. On the way up here, we often will turn on the radio, and the National Public Radio, mostly to keep the driver, me, awake. And occasionally we hear something of interest, usually not of interest, a lot of garbage. But there's something that came up that has been around for a little while, but it's becoming more and more out of the closet, so to speak. Many times this morning they used the word alternative reality. That's like saying an alternative truth. That's like saying 2 plus 2 can equal 4 or 5, whatever you want it to. There is no such thing as an alternative reality. Reality is reality. But it's in a common era that even in our traditional movement, that we try to have both sides. We try to live two realities, which we can't do. We can either be hot or cold. The lukewarm, God will vomit out of his mouth. The fence riders, those who split the middle. Now, I'm not talking about moderation. I'm talking about those who try to have their cake and eat it too. You either believe or you don't believe. You believe in the one or you believe in the other. You cannot serve two masters. For example, because the Novus Ordo Church is not dumb, the powers that be in it are not dumb, they are coming around with all kinds of lures. For example, they're starting to come up with all kinds of Latin masses. But there's all kinds of catches. The main one being that if you attend their so-called Latin Mass, with no telling what Mass it is, if it even is a Mass, but you are bound to believe that Novus Ordo Mass is okay as well as the Latin Mass. Well, if you believe that, why are you here? I'm not saying you believe that. I'm just asking the question. For there are those who flip back and forth. They come here only because they don't like some of the shenanigans going on in the new church. No, it should be a matter of faith. It's because you believe that what is in this little chapel, that what takes place on this altar, is actually God coming down on the altar. Whereas in the Novus Ordo Church, that is highly questionable at best because of all the changes that have taken place and all the error that is being taught. Another example. We cannot pick and choose what we want to believe in the Catholic faith. What the magisterium, the teaching body of the church, the majority of theologians and doctors of the church have taught over the 1,500 years, 1,500 years, or 1,900 years actually, is what we are bound to believe. For a simple collection of the teachings of the Catholic Church, as we are bound to believe them, I suggest you go to the Baltimore Catechism. At least the questions and answers. Those are what we as Catholics are bound to believe. Now the fine print under the questions and answers, the explanations, are often the opinion of the particular author of that particular version of the catechism. And that's more or less his opinion. But the actual question and answer is what the Catholic Church believes and has always taught, up until 60, 70 years ago. Also, one other error that is coming to surface that I have to say something about because it affects this chapel in particular and others, is there is a confusion of terms coming about concerning validity and legitimacy or legality. Too many people are confusing the one for the other or for both. Legality has nothing to do with validity. A person who is validly ordained a priest is a priest forever. No matter what kind of life he lives, no matter what he teaches or what in the past, even if he throws his priesthood out and gets married, he's still a priest. And he still has the powers of the priesthood. He may not be permitted by law to use them, but he still has the power. The same with bishops. When a bishop is validly consecrated a bishop, he is a bishop for life, and he has the powers for life. Whether he becomes senile or becomes insane or does things that are questionable or makes a mistake and ordains someone that shouldn't be ordained, he still has the power to validly ordain and consecrate. Because there is question coming up whether I myself am a priest, because I was ordained by what is called a Thuk line bishop, who comes from Archbishop Thuk, who has maybe made a mistake or two in the past in some of his ordination and consecration, and he maybe was outside the law when he made some consecration ordination. But that does not do away with his validity. He is still a bishop, and he still has the power of validly ordaining other priests and bishops. And the bishop, Bishop McKenna, that there is no question that he is a valid bishop, contrary to what you might hear from other sources. And therefore, I am a valid priest, as will be Father Joseph and Father Bernard, and as are Father Michael and Father Sebastian. If and when you hear evidence, in quotation marks, to the contrary, don't go on rumors and make the distinction between validity and legality. For that matter, we ourselves here are illegal, but that does not make this Mass invalid. I still have the power to bring God down on that altar at the consecration, provided I follow all the rubrics like they're supposed to be, which I do. And whether we're illegal or not, that's in God's hands. We're doing what we believe to be right. I will see you in a couple of weeks, because in a couple of weeks is Easter Sunday. But I will give you a special Lenten blessing if you will all kneel, please. Benedictio Dei Omnipotentis, Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, et super vos et mani semper. And may the rest of this Lent be a very profitable one for all of us. God bless you.